We've got cameras all around the Bay Area. They are streamed to live using some of the latest technology from LiveU.
They are the pioneers of a technology called cellular bonding. This technology allows you, the streamer, to live stream from anywhere that has a cellular signal. Yeah, anywhere.
LiveU gave us the perfect solution that we needed. It's a very easy to use, very low cost solution.
The goal of having LiveU involved was to try and bring parts of the event to the public that the viewer had never ever seen before.
They brought the technicians in, they brought the latest LE600 units in. It's a new HEVC standard.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hello. My name is Edwin Rogers, and I'm here with my co-host Max Noir and the fabulous Claudia Barbiero.
Thank you.
And we're here, and we're talking about LiveU. You got a little bit of a video introduction onto what LiveU does, but basically, LiveU is absolutely amazing for live production. They have revolutionized it. So I'll let Claudia tell us a little bit more about it.
Okay. Yeah, so for people who aren't familiar with LiveU, it essentially started about 12 years ago as an alternative to using a satellite truck or a hard fiber line connection for broadcasters. So you can imagine if you're doing a breaking news story or there is a hurricane or anything that needs immediate news from a remote location, the only way to broadcast that would have been to roll in a very large satellite truck, which is also very expensive, or to run miles and miles of cable. You literally had to connect that camera to some way of transporting the video. We did that through some patented technology that bonds multiple cellular connections together. Over the years, that's gotten better, smaller. The cell technology has gotten better, and the technology has actually expanded beyond just broadcasters, just beyond just the news. And as you saw in some of that video clip, it's being used widely by sports, although right now, sadly, there's not a lot of sports happening, but by government, house of worship, education, and especially today, we've been really active in helping a lot of other industries stay connected through live streaming, just like this, using that same technology that broadcasters use.
Yes, and I know, I definitely know for a fact that, so at NBC, for example, I think we had 30 LiveU patches for our department alone, because it really is so important to have a way to go live anywhere, at any location, at any time. And I think it's just a powerful device, and just really, really amazing. But one thing so me and you met at NAB. Mm-hmm. You were the first person to fly me out to Vegas and allow me to speak.
Don't say that. Now everybody's going to want me to fly them out to Vegas when it's back to normal.
That's if
I'm next.
Nothing happen ever again. It's over for forever. No more conferences.
Right.
But I think the conferences have to evolve. Like a lot of industries right now, they are getting, pretty much a real wake-up call that digital and making things more efficient, making things more virtual is actually really important business use. And so I wanted to touch a little bit about how someone who is, I have my own conference, it's not happening anymore. How could I virtualize that? Some of the solutions, but you touch on that. I want to show just how awesome this setup that you have that seems so.
Everyone's going to get so sick of my living room.
I'm watching your setup.
Every show is in my living room now.
But I'm going to show you amazing how amazing our setup is.
Hi, everybody. It's Claudia from LiveU, coming to you from the set of the new LiveU sports show. This set is actually a portion of my living room that I'm actually also using for my home office. So how are we doing it? Well, with just a couple of pieces of equipment and remote production. So I'm basically taking my camera feed, which I have a decent light, a decent mic, and I'm feeding that through HDMI to the LU600. Now the LU600 is bonding together multiple cellular connections so that I can transmit the high quality feed back to where we are actually producing the show. I don't have to rely upon just one cellular connection. I don't have to rely upon my household Wi-Fi, which has a ton of kids streaming movies and playing video games right now. Now the LU600 is also performing two very important functions for me as the host. It's allowing me to hear what's going on in the studio and hear my producer, James. And it's also giving me the IFB to hear what my guests are saying so that I can actually talk to them live while we are transmitting and doing the production. The other key thing is it's also providing me with the return video. So now while I could connect an external monitor to this, for me in this tiny space, the display on the front of the LU600 is actually perfect, enough for me to see what the final output of the stream is so that I know what camera's on, what's being shown, where we're at with the show. And then all we have to do is bring in remote guests and occasionally add an interesting camera angle or two. So I hope you guys enjoyed this very brief behind the scenes, and I look forward to chatting with you all next time we stream live. Thanks so much. So that's like one side of the whole production studio, right? That's the host side. My colleague James has everything else in his teeny tiny apartment to actually do the production side.
You want me to show what James has to offer?
I mean, it might not be a bad idea. It kind of shows how the whole thing comes together. If you
problem, I got it queued up.
Hey guys, James from LiveU here. Just wanted to give you a quick tour of my current at-home control room setup that we're using to produce our LiveU show completely remotely. And it all starts down here. So down here we have a LiveU quad server, a LiveU video return server, and also a Scarlett audio interface. The quad server allows us to receive 4 inputs from any LiveU encoder out in the field, whether that's the LiveU Smart app, the LU300, the LU600, any of those could feed back into this server, which then feeds into my switcher. Right above the LiveU quad server, we have the LiveU video return server, which does exactly what it says it does, video return. So if you're out in the field using the 600 and you're feeding your feed back to me, you can now see the program out of my switcher, so you can see when you're live on screen or what's coming up next. And right above the video return server, we have the Scarlett audio interface, which allows us to do things like IFB. Now, IFB is important for this because we're producing the whole thing remotely, so it's good to be in constant communication with your talent or host or whoever's on the other end. Now, moving up to the top of the table here, I have a Blackmagic ATEM switcher. It's a very basic switcher that allows me to do things like still images, lower thirds, picture-in-picture, things like that. Coming into the switcher are the 4 SDI inputs from the quad server down below, which allows me to see all 4 video feeds in the multi-view here. So for me to bring remote guests onto the show, it's super easy to do right through LU Central. I'll show you. So in my LiveU Central account, there's many ways to get new units into my inventory that I can use for the show. One being our new guest interview feature for the LiveU Smart app. To set that up, simply click on the guest interview button up top here. I can name my device. So in this case, I'll use my phone. You can choose the registration period, which is how long the link will be active for them. And you can choose the resolution. So in my case, 1080i 60. Next, you can send them the registration code via email or text message. So in this case, I'll just use my cell phone number here. And click on send SMS. So I just got the text from the guest interview feature. I'm going to click on the link here. And since I already have the Smart app installed, it's going to open directly on the camera. Now, back in Central, I'll be able to click on the device, set what channel I want to live stream to. So in my case, LiveU Studio 1 here. You can set the delay and start your stream. And I have my phone set right here. You can see it connects. And just like that, my feed is appearing in my switcher. And lastly, the program out of the Blackmagic switcher is feeding into our LiveU Solo here, which has 2 cellular modems and an Ethernet connection, bonding them together so you guys can watch this online live. I hope this gave you a little insight to how we're producing our show completely remotely. We hope to see you soon.
Okay.
I love the music. It's so groovy.
I'll have to tell James that he had good music choice with that. Okay. So yeah, I mean that's our entire show, and it actually is a condensed version of what we would have had at NAB this week to produce our content at the show, and then we take advantage of this whole at-home production or REMI production because you don't need to have as much on site. All you need really is the camera in the unit or a smartphone. As you saw, you can use our bonding app. That app does the same thing that the units do, only bonding the cellular service in the phone with the whatever local available Wi-Fi is. Actually, when I use that here as a second camera angle, I use my little MiFi hotspot just so I have another Wi-Fi that's not being used. But just bonding those two together gives me a super strong connection. I think I had like 7 megabits per second up on the smart app for the last broadcast we did. So it's a mini home studio.
So I think Max, you had a question.
Yeah, I was curious about sort of how you guys are thinking about 5G implementation moving forward and sort of what you guys may or may not be doing with that.
So being a product that is based on cellular technology, we work really, really closely with all of the carriers globally. Definitely when it comes to 5G, we've been a part of a lot of those consortiums and a lot of the discussion, as well as developing some of the technology to make sure that our equipment is 5G ready. And in fact, most of it is. Those modems are not readily available yet, but neither is a true 5G network. So there are some millimeter wave 5G in certain locations, and most of them were rolled out in, let's say, places where there would be consumer usage and congestion, like at a basketball stadium.
Right.
So it is a very important technology for us because not only does that just make the transmission capabilities more robust, but what it does is it expands what we're able to do with that bandwidth. A couple of years ago, HEVC encoding really changed the landscape because with that bonded connection, you needed less of one, meaning what you could do on 1 megabit up versus 6 megabits up. The quality of the video could be just as good, only you're using less data. 5G almost takes that to a whole nother level. So you with what you can do. So it's not just the transmission of the video out anymore. This field unit can now do multiple things for people. So you saw I'm getting a video return feed. I'm getting IFB. Think about the advancements in cloud production technologies. Think about VR. Yes, exactly.
Video, which we have been talking about, and we're going to get to that too, for years.
The amount of data that's needed is astronomical. So when you combine great video encoding technology with enhanced and expanded bandwidth, it almost blows the door was wide open with what you can do, and actually with less equipment and less people, meaning needed on site. And so for us, 5G is super exciting. So
you're sort of just waiting for the infrastructure to sort of catch up.
I mean, that's definitely part of it. And that's why we work so closely, specifically even with AT&T. But before everything stopped, we were doing some fantastic stuff with the NBA and AT&T, utilizing our smart app and 5G smartphones and the in-stadium 5G network. But again, there's a difference between, we don't have to go super crazy, but there's a difference between millimeter wave and spectrum 5G. And there's an infrastructure that needs to be implemented to support that, and as well as the technology around. So even if we had it, most phones aren't capable of receiving leveraging that signal yet. But I don't think we're that far out. You know, it is a reality. We've been using it. It's just in these nice little pockets. Let's hope that when things get back to normal, we will be in congested environments again, meaning where a lot of people are using their cell phones again. And we'll be super excited about 5G for that reason.
Yeah, and the beauty of 5G is that it can handle a large crowd without kind of throttling. And I think also in conjunction with like things like innovations like Wi-Fi 6, there's going to be a real advancement in the way that computer processing is happening on the cloud rather than in your phone. So that you don't need your phone is more of a display of things that are being processed with no latency on the cloud on the edge of the compute.
Exactly.
So that is what I think is really exciting, because us as VR filmmakers, me and Max, we would love to be able to stream directly through a headset, 360 VR. And again, that's something that me and you and Dan have been talking about for a while, to get a LiveU pack, since it has an HDMI out, to stream a 360 4K stream. And now that's definitely possible with like the LU600 and with HCV, that version. So
exactly.
And playing around, so it's like a dream come true. Like all this is really, really advancing at the same time, so that it just all works in conjunction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you had brought up before, you showed all of those fabulous videos. I'm just kidding. But you had brought up the idea of the virtual trade show.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to forget that, because, yes, I'm sad NAB would have been taking place right now. Yes, we would have made some very interesting product announcements, but a lot of good has come out of this unfortunate crisis.
Sure.
In the method of people having to learn very, very quickly how to stay connected, how to leverage live streaming. And that's really what we've been super busy with, not just supporting the big news stations. I don't think we're ever going to go back to the way things were. Things are going to forever be changed. And that includes conferences and trade shows. I mean, we were very much at the forefront of this idea of the virtual conference ticket, so that in-person event that maybe people couldn't travel to, or an organizer could only have a limited number of attendees at because of the venue. The idea of being able to live stream a keynote or certain portions, certain sessions, either for free or to make more money for a different type of online ticket, was something we were really trying to teach and educate how to do. But now that changes, because there isn't this live event that people at home want to participate virtually in. It really also is about ways of leveraging other production, social media, other delivery, OTT technologies to engage with that home audience, because everybody is at home. So you've seen Zoom, you've seen webinars, we're using technology here. There's a myriad out there. But at the end of the day, if the quality isn't good, which means you have to have some people saying good stuff and thoughtful things. But if that's not good, but if it's not watchable, if it's not interactive, if it's not something you can really engage with, then no one's going to tune in, just like nobody would have tuned in before. So I think a lot of people are reapproaching this idea of we have to get sponsors who are going to set up a booth to get people to show up. And now it's going to be more of what I think we've all done with live streaming, which is there's got to be an organic, authentic fit for the people sponsoring to be participating with the content. And for me, that's exciting, because it means we're finally going to be embracing this idea that anybody is a content creator. You, Edwin, are a broadcaster right now. You have something to share, and we can leverage.
I hope people enjoy it.
I hope this is engaging. But this is where we can leverage the technology and really start to create communities, more people who are interested in a specific topic, rather than these big 5,000, 20,000, or in the case of NEB, 100,000 attendee event where you can get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to say too is that also in that scenario of a conference, you also have the exhibitor booths where some general person just wandering around is like, what is this LiveU thing? I've never heard of it. That person stumbling in on the conference call is something that is not like totally tailored to a Zoom experience. So what I was trying to pitch was the idea that, okay, you have the virtual conference, but each and every single exhibitor has their own room that anyone can click on a link and then talk to you like directly, instantly, kind of like your own Zoom channel to have a conversation. So anyone could jump in, click on a link on an app, and then start talking another vendor that they're interested in. So that way, that business to business conversation isn't something that's lacking, because broadcast one to many is one thing, but broadcast. But being able to have that conversation one-to-one at a conference is absolutely important.
And as look, I'm in marketing, so a trade show is a big bulk of my budget, and we're always forced to look at that return on investment. But Edwin, you've been to our booth at NAB. We're not one of the largest exhibitors, but
it's a cool booth.
It's cool and it's fun and and all of that. But it can be really intimidating if you don't know who we are or know what to look at to come to a trade show like that. That's very, very busy. And the idea of doing it virtually is kind of democratizes things.
Yeah.
It allows people to go at their own pace, and actually allows me as an exhibitor to have a real thoughtful conversation with somebody who I probably never would get the chance to see at a big trade show like that. So for me, again, it's going to be a very interesting development moving forward.
All right, I'm going to quickly see if there's any questions, or I know we have some comments, and that's interesting. All right.
Yeah, I was just going to mention.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Max.
I was just going to mention, I didn't even see this comment yet, but just the accessibility that the virtual conferencing offers us. I mean, usually conference tickets are quite expensive, not to mention the exhibition. And then you have to pay for the flights and the hotels and the Airbnbs.
And time away from your job. Yeah.
Exactly. Time away from your job.
Something that people don't actually factor in, because if you're spending 5 days, that's your vacation time that you have with your kids, or is it like you're just gonna take off work?
Right.
So that's something that people don't recognize as well. And I also think about it this way too. If you have a conference that's virtual and you don't have to pay for a flight, a hotel, and all these other things, how many more people that wanted to go but didn't want to do that will be able to attend? So in a way, while the Vegas Convention Centers does hold 150,000 people, you can literally have 1 million people at a conference. I think there's one in France, I don't know how to pronounce it, Laval, that's happening completely in VR this week, and I'm excited about taking a look at that and seeing how that's implemented. Yeah. Because I think there's some people that say, well, you should just put on a VR headset and walk around some VR place. That's assuming that, one, lots of people have VR headsets. Two, lots of people want to wear a VR headset for hours. That's a big assumption.
Yeah. Goes right back to the accessibility. Exactly. That's why I love like apps like Engage, who are building these like virtual conferencing systems, but they're also allowing for mobile and desktop, you know, accessibility. So I love that.
Right. And that's really important, because I think that VR is the future, and obviously we're staking our careers on that. But at the same time, it is important that you have reach, and that reach is happening on phones, desktops, and all devices. And so just having a progressively enhanced experience where you could watch it on your desktop, you can watch it on your phone, but if you have a VR headset, you could also interact and get that many more in touch points, is just really accessible to the range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, any final questions? Because we're close to the end of our show.
That went so fast. Oh my God.
I know. Time flies.
Yeah. I'll throw a little, not necessarily a shameless plug out there, but I will throw out there that if there are anybody that's thinking about doing something similar, whether it's like this or looking to do something for their college or high school grads, something virtual like this, and has no understanding of streaming, much bandwidth or cloud production or or what type of camera to use. There is a great user group on Facebook. It's called Stream Like a Pro. It is made of a lot of people who use LiveU, but there's a lot of people on there that they're a really great community. A lot of sharing, a lot of best practices. Just even lurking on that, you can learn a lot. So I'll throw that out there,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, again, and also definitely check out LiveU.tv if you want to learn more about these amazing technologies that are literally broadcast quality technologies. Not like, this is what the big news channels use in order to, have a backpack instead of a satellite truck in order to go live on remotely anywhere in the world. And with that, I'm going to take us to a little video about LiveU and what they do. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.
We've got cameras all around the Bay Area. They are streamed to live using some of the latest technology from LiveU.
They are the pioneers of a technology called cellular bonding. This technology allows you, the streamer, to live stream from anywhere that has a cellular signal. Yeah, anywhere.
LiveU gave us the perfect solution we needed. It's a very easy to use, very low-cost solution.
The goal of having LiveU involved was to try and bring parts of the event to the public that the viewer had never ever seen before.
They brought the technicians in, they brought the latest LV600 units in. It's a new HEVC standard.